Hola Gators, it's Karen here, and today we're giving credit where it's long overdue. Because let's be real, when people think of Hollywood, they don't always think Latinos. But the truth is that behind some of the most visually stunning and emotionally haunting films, there is always Latino brilliance within. And one of the biggest names, Guillermo del Toro. So let's get into it. Guillermo del Toro was born on October 9th, 1964 in Guadalajara, Mexico. And his childhood, honestly, kind of sounds like the origin story of someone who would go on to create beautiful monsters. His dad, Federico, was a car dealer, and his mom, Guadalupe, was a poet, artist, homemaker, and also dabbled in tarot and the occult. But things took a turn when his dad won $6 million in the lottery in 1969. Sounds amazing, right? Well, not exactly. His parents started traveling a lot, and he was often left behind. Instead, he was raised by his maternal great aunt, who had a huge influence on his life and later on in his career. And perhaps not in a good way, she was extremely religious and absolutely horrified by his fascination with monsters and the supernatural. Like, she literally tried to exorcise him with holy water. Trauma? Maybe. Inspiration? Definitely. Guillermo even began having lucid nightmares as a child, like full-on visions of paranormal creatures. And instead of running from them, he turned them into art. By the age of 8, he was already making short films using his dad's Super 8 camera. Like what? At 8 years old, I was obsessing over One Direction, and he was out here building cinematic universes? Okay. He later studied filmmaking at the University of Guadalajara and spent about 10 years in the 1980s working as a special effects makeup artist. Even to this day, he is still very involved in the makeup and effects department of all his films. He later founded his own special effects company in Guadalajara called Necropia, which, by the way, necro is a Greek word that means dead or corpse. So yeah, very on brand. He's not only a director and a writer, but he also understands how to physically create the creatures we see on screen. Now let's talk films. You might know Kronos, his first major film in 1993. Then there's Pan's Labyrinth, a masterpiece that blends fantasy with the harsh realities of war. And of course, The Shape of Water, which won Best Picture at the Oscars. Guillermo is undeniably a master at his art. But what makes him stand out is that his work isn't just about monsters, it's about who we call monsters. He mixes folklore, Hispanic culture, and Roman Catholic imagery into his storytelling. His films are dark, yes, but they're also emotional, poetic, and deeply human. He gives us creatures, outcasts, and misunderstood beings and somehow makes us see ourselves in them. And I think that's so powerful. Because as Latinos in Hollywood, representation isn't just about being seen, it's about being seen correctly, with depth, culture, and complexity. Guillermo del Toro didn't just enter Hollywood, he reshaped it. He proved that stories rooted in Latino identity, folklore, and even childhood fears can be universal. So next time someone says Hollywood lacks diversity, just remember, some of its most iconic stories came from a kid in Guadalajara who was told his imagination was something to be afraid of. And instead, he turned it into magic. What a beautiful success Latin story. That's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and make sure to come back soon because we're going to do another episode about another one of our Latino stars. Hope to see you there. Bye.